If this thing starts, I'm gonna be pretty surprised. The last time I rode it, I think, was a year ago. The battery was weak, still had some juice, but it wouldn't kick. Tried to pull start, nothing. I drained the bowl, and it just two-stroke oil came out of the bowl. I assume the gas that was in it evaporated and just left the oil in there. Okay, there we go. All right. I'll be damned. It's just a trail of smoke in my rearview mirror. This gas is so old. Oh, I forgot how terrible V-brakes are. Alright, so this bike has no pedal chain, so yeah. Anytime we gotta climb a hill, the downfalls of the centrifugal clutch really show. I tried to pedal. It didn't do anything. Come on, let's go. Okay, so after being a year off of the gas bikes, I'm reminded at how sketchy they are, just in so many aspects. I took this out of the shed, and then other than draining the gas out of the bowl, I did absolutely nothing to it. So I am hoping that past LA Hover did a damn good job maintaining this thing before he put it in the shed. Otherwise, present LA Hover is going to have some regrets. Anyways, there are some things I'm thinking that I want to say for commentary as we're riding the bike. And when the engine's going, I can't really talk. So I'm going to try just having editing Hover chime in when we have something to say. And I'm just going to shut up while we're riding for the most part. Take it away. Editing Hover. Oh. Hey, the battery is just real good. Thank you, past Hover. Okay, this is a lazy summer video just to match the heat and how miserable it is outside. No script, very little effort. Many of you will remember this build. It's the BT100 version 2, and it's on a Huffy Cranbrook. This ride, we're heading out deep into the woods where I'm going to fly some of my old drones, for no other reason than I simply want to do it. And I suppose we'll use this chance as an opportunity to give you an update on what's been going on. Mainly, where the hell have the gas bikes been over the past year? I don't really have 1, 2, or even 3 reasons as to why I've parked the gas bikes lately. I've got a list of probably a dozen or more. If it was just a couple of hurdles, we could deal with that. We've done it in the past, but they've all compounded upon each other to the point where it's just become a little too overwhelming to deal with every single ride. Now, before I go on, does this mean I'm done with gas bikes? No, not at all. Call it an extended break while we recharge energy. How long this might last, I couldn't tell you. And there's definitely going to be less of them, but every once in a while I just get the itch to ride one. I need to do it in creative ways, such as you're seeing here, but they're still here. One of the big ones, which is more of a recent development, is simply legality. Whereas these gas motorized bikes have always sat in this kind of gray area of the law in the state of Louisiana, where most cops either didn't know what to do about them or simply didn't care, my small town has introduced some new officers which now care. And I'm not going to get into too many details, no official legal trouble, but there have been some instances where power trip officers who are just robotic as can be no longer care to see these things riding around. That's one hurdle for me which can be overcome a lot of the times, but I still have to ride some city streets to get to these back roads. We'll continue this list in a moment. Right now, let's hit one of our spots. That's something I don't miss. Super sketchy kickstand. Okay, I think we're good. I don't know if I trust this rear fender. I did reinforce that bottom bracket for it, but it's really floppy. I'm sure it's rubbing on the tires. Whatever. This is the one that you got to watch out for. These front ones. These are the ones that'll kill you. It's all plastic, so I have to worry about aluminum fatigue cracks. Real flexible. I think that's good, but yeah, I think my idea behind this bike was that I never used it or intended to use it for anything above like 25 miles an hour. The chain rub marks on the tire and the dust. Chain clearance is a good solid 2 millimeters. I thought in the back of your mind of what's gonna break on my gas bike today. I don't think it's gonna kill me. Anyways, it's Sunday morning and my glasses are already fogging up. That's not a good sign for what we plan on doing. I have 2 spots up here I found that are absolutely beautiful. I forgot this one did that. Editing cover, explain what this one does. Sure, so what happens with the BT100, especially on hot days, is the carburetor gets really hot. It sits close to the cylinder, the intake is very short, and there's no heat break in between them, so it's all just conductive metal. The carburetor gets so hot that when you stop the bike and there's no fresh, cool fuel being supplied to the bowl, and there's no airflow around it, it actually begins to boil the gas in the bowl. And when you go to start the bike after it's been stopped for a few minutes, it spits and sputters and hesitates until you start getting cool gas into the bowl that's not boiling. Fun fact, I guess. This is the only motor that's ever done that to me. Very strange. I thought about maybe putting some like little heat sinks, like little memory heat sinks for PCs on the bottom of the carburetor bowl. But 1, I don't ride this bike enough to really need to do that, and 2, that's one hell of a stretch to try and fix an overheating problem. Really, a better way to fix this would probably just be to add a longer intake manifold. You increase the distance between the two and therefore better cooling, or just add a heat break in between them. There's beautiful clear cut just to my right. This is where we did our initial testing of the two-wheel drive bike like a year and a half ago or whatever. And it's fantastic in there. Would be a really good place to fly if I had a good place to launch. The highest point on that hill back there, and there's too many obstructions. This tree line in the middle of the clear cut just kills my signal. So unfortunately not a great place to fly, but with the right equipment someday I might revisit it. This is absolutely perfect. We're not going to fly this one at this spot yet. This one has the HD camera on it. We're just going to fly a little tiny homemade thing that you guys might get a kick out of. I know I was supposed to print stuff with the 3D printer for motorized bikes. This is homemade, can you tell? I bet you can't tell. It looks like a flying pile of garbage, but it works. We're gonna fly this in this spot and just have some fun. DVR footage, so nothing high quality. This is the next spot that we'll get the HD camera up if this drone still works. See, I'm flying a version of iNav so old they don't even support it anymore. This little guy, he's been up in the air a few times. I think he weighs 190 grams, something like that. All right, hopefully that sketchy kickstand holds the bike up. Otherwise, the bike's not going to hold you guys up. It is hot, really hot. So I got these fans pointing straight at my face. So hopefully my goggles won't fog up. These goggles used to have a built-in fan, but one, it always sucked and never worked right. And then two, it was the first thing to go out after not working very well anyways. So, I can at least fly around here and give you guys a good idea of why I wanted to come fly this spot. I mean, look at this. And this is just low-res analog footage from the DVR. I will definitely be coming back here with the GoPro once I get these older quads sorted out. But a lot of this equipment had issues when I parked it, like my bikes. And I don't remember which ones are good and which ones need to be worked on. So before I go putting a several $100 GoPro in the air, I want to make sure I can rely on the platform. While Scruffy LA rambles on about some random camera settings, I thought I'd give you guys some information about what you're seeing on screen, just for those of you who are not familiar with drones but maybe still interested. The footage looks pretty rough because it's the raw analog signal transmitted from the drone to my goggles. This is what I see while I'm flying. This is an older system. Back when we first started flying these, analog was pretty much what everybody used because it was just good enough to do the job, but nobody really used it for their high definition because, well, it wasn't. In situations where I want to get good footage, I'll use a GoPro. But when I just want to go out and fly, I won't risk a camera, and I'll just fly. These days, there are much better and more expensive systems which transmit a high-definition signal which, in a lot of situations, can still be used for acceptable quality footage for YouTube or other various platforms. Of course, that's out of my budget. Anyways, what you're seeing on screen is called the OSD, or on-screen display. The top left, without getting into too many details, is the frequency, R, the channel, 4, and the power output, 200 for 200 milliwatts. At the top right, you'll see it says air mode. This is the mode of flight. There are many of them, but this is the most common. Just to simplify this, what it usually means is you have complete control over every single movement of the drone. And if you were to take your hands off of the controller, let's say one of three main things is going to happen. It's going to go straight into the ground, straight into the nearest tree, or into orbit. You're making minute adjustments on the sticks every second, so you basically don't even have time to scratch your head if you get an itch. On the right side below air, you'll see Alt followed by a number and the letter M. This is your altitude in meters. It's your altitude from the takeoff location, so not your absolute altitude. Below that, you'll see the H symbol inside of a little upside down teardrop. This is your home distance. It's how far you are from your takeoff position in meters. Directly across on the left side of the screen, you'll see a satellite icon followed by a number. This is how many satellites the drone is locked onto, and the more the better. These are used to bring the drone home in an emergency situation if you were to lose video signal or connection to the radio, or if you're just to hit a switch to bring it home because of any random event. Say you need to put the transmitter down and take your goggles off, or you get disoriented and forget where it is. It gets pretty easy to do that when you're flying in a new location. Below that, you see kind of like the cell signal bars. This is the strength of connection between the drone and your radio. Very good signal here with almost no interference. And below that, you have a battery icon with the cell voltage. This tells you the individual voltage of each cell. It's different depending on what type of battery you're using, but in our situation, we don't worry too much about it until it drops below 3.2, as I'm using 18650 cells. Now here you're going to see me flip the return to home switch. This is just to give me a brief moment to relax and adjust my goggles to try and defog the lenses. At the bottom left corner, you see a number followed by MAH, so 1040-ish milliamp hours. This is how much we've drained out of the flight pack so far. This drone is flying with a 3000 milliamp hour battery, so we're about 1/3 through the pack. And just to the right of that, below the flight timer, is a graphical representation of how much energy is left in the pack. At the bottom right corner, you can see our amp draw. This is how many amps we're pulling out of the battery. On this drone, it's particularly important because I'm flying with 18650s, or lithium-ion batteries. They generally have much higher capacity compared to their more commonly used packs on drones, lithium polymer batteries, but they don't have the ability to supply high amperage. So on this drone, I want to make sure I stay below 15 amps as much as possible so I don't overstress the battery. Just above our amp draw at the bottom right corner is our throttle position. This is how much gas I'm giving to the sticks. And above that is our speed in kilometers per hour. I would do miles per hour and feet for elevation and distance from home, but when it comes to drone stuff, it's just easier to use the metric system. It's like a lot easier. Alright, that's it, so let's get back to whatever Scruffy's talking about at this random moment in time. This right here is what really got me into FPV. Like, I was into flying what we used to call them quadcopters. When they first came out, we called them quadcopters because drones wasn't really a thing. It just eventually is what the media took off calling them. So what got me into flying FPV drones, even after having already built the bigger line of sight stuff, was seeing people do stuff like this. Just, I didn't care for all the flicks and freestyle flops and stuff where you can't really tell what's going on because it's moving too fast, you can't focus on anything. But when they would do cruising low high speed stuff over beautiful terrain, or my favorite, which I'll probably never be able to do, mountain soaring, I wanted that, so I did that. Oh, okay, that's the end of that pack. Let's bring her home. I built these packs out of some 18650s. The quality is a little hit and miss. I know this thing will fly for a solid 12 minutes if I'm just cruising around. But this pack is one I just built 2 nights ago. It's not getting a lot of flight time. All right, hold on, let me shut up so I can land this thing real quick. I don't like landing in the sand and the dirt because it gets into the motors. I like landing in the grass, even if it means it's not as graceful of a landing. This was one thing I was afraid of when I first got here, is I heard noise way off in the woods, and I was afraid there's logging trucks and logging equipment. I don't hear it anymore, which is a good sign because where we're going is a fresh clear cut. But I had to come on a Sunday when I assumed they wouldn't be working. This one's iNav. The other drone was Betaflight. Wow. Now this one was never meant to do any freestyle or racing, of course. It's a 6-inch. It was just meant to cruise. I forgot how steady it was. That I might change my mind when I look at the HD footage, but at least in the goggles, it seems really smooth. Is that a hawk?
Telemetry lost. Telemetry recovered.
I think this is only 200 milliwatts on the video transmitter because we're already fuzzy.
Telemetry lost.
But that's fine. Though I should probably test return to home.
Telemetry recovered.
Before I get too far out here.
Telemetry lost. Telemetry recovered.
All right, let's see. Hit the oh shit switch. So back to the gas bike updates and why I haven't been riding them very much. Another big reason is I've simply been spoiled by the dual sport. Having that kind of suspension on a purpose-built machine with the roads I have to deal with, it's a pretty big deal, at least for me. I'm getting older. And the gas bikes on these rigid street cruiser frames or these really cheap mountain bikes just doesn't quite cut it after so many years. And also the electrics, seeing that I've been testing almost entirely fat tire electrics, those ones are really good at these back roads as well. And it's just hard to go back to the gas bikes, especially when I want to go on longer trips. Like riding out here, I hit just a few rough spots in the road that I wouldn't have even really noticed on a fat bike or a dual sport. And you feel it for a few minutes afterwards. And next we have range. This directly ties into comfort as well. You see, if I want to go somewhere far away, I'd much rather do it on the dual sport. It's faster and a lot more comfortable. For short range trips, I would rather just use the fat tire electrics for the same reason. It's more comfortable, but it's also more convenient because they've very seldomly given me any issues, and they're just get on and go. I understand this doesn't mean much to many of you because, well, gas bikes for the most part were never about comfort or practicality. They were just about fun. They were what we wanted to build and what we wanted to ride. The same was true for me, but only for so long. Then, of course, there's reliability and safety. These kind of go hand in hand. The machines are super sketchy. Most of you know that. You can build them really nice, but you'll spend so much money on them, you quickly come to the price of an actual motorcycle or a decent electric bike that will have very little issues. Again, this also comes down to you build it because you want to, and there's nothing wrong with that. But for me, I only had so much energy to give to repairing the same issues again and again in the middle of the woods on a hot summer day. So for everyone who's been asking, where are the gas bikes? There's your answer. I still have them, but they're pretty much parked most of the time. I've essentially been spoiled by what I consider to be better options. With that out of the way, I would like to say I'm impressed once again by the BT100 V2. It started and drove me here after 1 year of sitting in a shed with pretty much no complaints. No new issues that it didn't already have. Gas bikes will still show up on the channel from time to time, but depending on where I want to go, I'm just going to pick whatever I feel like riding.